Hey, welcome in to All Sports BPT. Tolly, show me your shirt. Thank you. Um, we got a good show today. We got an
Definitely.
interview. We got all sorts of different sports to talk about. All of them, really.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in the logo. Ben will be here, I think.
Who cares? I mean, who wants Ben?
Yeah, he seemed pretty stressed out. He was like in a rush or whatever. We're just chilling. So we
I
figured,
think
why don't we just hop on?
I think he was watching the Man United Everton game, got a bit distracted
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just
He
stuck
thought
with it.
GCL might score one in the last at the end of
Yeah,
the game.
yeah. I mean, I just want it to be known at the start of the podcast, every single piece of our Premier League coverage has been absolutely bollocks. I mean, we got
Yeah,
everything. Man United are what, third?
right. Yeah, I, they might be second.
They
Yeah,
may be second as of they just beat Everton 2-0 as we speak. So let me just have a little diagnosis of the table. Okay, they're still third.
yeah.
They're,
Okay.
they're still a few points behind Leicester. They're 1 point behind Leicester, 4 points behind Liverpool. But I mean, they went from 16th. I think they started listening to Drake, started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah.
Get on board and just ran with it.
But this is where we change it. All right, we're not wrong. Okay,
No,
this is where
yeah,
we say, and that's what makes the Premier League the most exciting league in the world.
exactly.
Any team, you're in 16th one week, the next week you're in third. Amazing league, the best league in the world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Is
Yeah,
that good? I mean, that's it.
that's what we meant to say. Oh, sorry, I forgot
Yeah.
we were politicians and we were just supposed to lie through our teeth. Sorry, yeah, I forgot that's what coverage is.
Yeah, you're obviously not a trained sports journalist like me.
Yeah, no, I need to stop being honest. I mean, to be fair, we called Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal.
We
I
did say
hope,
that.
yeah, and they're 15th, and let's hope they get relegated because that would be hilarious. Can you imagine having a $100 million stadium, central London, get relegated? Scenes, absolute scenes.
Amazing. Yeah, the championship would never be watched more.
No, no. Well, I don't know what would happen to Arsenal. They'd have to sell their stadium to a decent side like I don't know, West Ham United. They're gonna have to do a purchase and just own.
I mean, you look at it. No one would have expected Aubameyang to drop off a cliff like he
No,
did athletically. I mean, he's horrible. He's
yeah,
useless.
yeah. I don't know. I think they masked his card. It says 90 something speed. Is that 94 speed, 95 acceleration on FIFA? I mean, I
Yeah,
think he swapped cards with Akin Fenwa, runs 20 miles an hour.
yeah. I
Uh,
don't know what happened to the guy. I kind of feel bad for him, but I mean, he relied on his athleticism, and when it goes, it goes.
Yeah,
As I know.
yeah, me too. Good Nathan Davis jumping in on the podcast,
Our
nice and early.
interviewer. He might be a little confused when he doesn't see Ben, but
Yeah,
Ben will be here.
let's roll the dice. Nathan Davis. Oh,
Oh,
he's in San
all the way from
Francisco.
San Francisco.
Well,
Oh,
from
I didn't even
Germany,
notice
San Fran.
that. I had that stuck on from last night with my fan.
You're from Germany, San Francisco.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think San Francisco is one of the biggest cities over there, right?
yeah.
I'm trying to even figure out how to get it off. I really don't even know how.
I think you should just rock with it.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's fine.
Look, lots of the viewers are American, so we can just pretend that it's actually sunny in Germany. It's nice and warm.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, sorry, Ben's not here. He kind of had a busy afternoon pop up, but he'll be here in a minute. But I didn't want to kick off the interview because you're here, and we might as well start it. How's everything going? Like, how's life? What's it like being over there?
Yeah, life's good, man. It's been cool. It's been a really, really good experience for me so far. But especially with the pandemic, it's changed a good bit in the last couple months. We actually haven't had a game for the last 2 months. So
Yeah, that's sad.
yeah, it's definitely changed some stuff a bit, but overall, it's still been a really good experience, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, welcome, Ben. And Nathan, as you were speaking about COVID in Germany, I've seen there's been some record death tolls in Germany over the past few days. How is your experience? Are you shut in? Are you able to go anywhere at all?
Yeah, so just like a week ago, I think it was, the country went into what's considered like a full lockdown. So hopefully that can help to combat some of the rising cases. But thankfully, for the last month and a half or so, I've had access to our gym still. So that's been really nice. I can still get in on my lifts, spend time on the court, training and stuff. So, but other than that, yeah, my routine is pretty static. Day after day, I go to the gym, and then there's like this kind of a store that would be considered like a Martin's back in Altoona, where I can go pick up groceries and stuff like that. So other than that, that's the routine, because nothing else is really open, and not too much to do. But I'm a pretty basic guy, so that works for me.
The Altoona special.
Yeah, man, Altoona holds a special place in my heart. Always will.
Yeah, I've been around the world, and there's no place like Altoona.
That is true. That is true.
100%. I mean, I've been to
It is
Beijing,
unique.
London, New York, San Fran, everything. Nothing's close to Altoona.
It is unique. Yeah, we can definitely say it. We can go that far realistically and say it's a unique place. Ben, hey.
Hello, finally here. Had to fight my way through some traffic there, but you know.
Is that euphemism? I think he was talking about different traffic.
What's that?
I said I think Ben was talking about a little bit of different traffic. Talking of traffic, actually, Nathan, have you been on the Autobahn?
Yes, just once. Just once. I wasn't driving myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to a game, and yeah, that's a different type of speed. They're driving.
Yeah. Were you in a team bus, or were you in someone else's car?
So we had like one of our older guys, a captain. He had like a van type setup, and so we split up the team and went in that. But yeah, I mean, it's a little different with the kilometers over here instead of miles per hour. So it's not quite as intimidating as I thought. Like I would see like 180, 190 kilometers per hour, and I'd really freak out. But that's probably like, anywhere between 90 and 100, which still, that's very, very fast. But I thought it was like even more than that. So,
are you tempted to go back with a vehicle of your own and drive on there?
Not really, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's an acquired taste, isn't it? I've seen videos of cars going 200 miles an hour on that road. I mean that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always been someone to just try to play it safe when I'm driving. I know it's a pretty dangerous thing. Like, when you're on the road, there's a lot greater chance of an accident than when you're flying on a plane or something like that. So I always just try to play it safe, get from point A to point B, and don't try any funny business.
Yeah.
So finally that I'm here and everyone can hear me. But so I don't know exactly what you covered yet, but how has it been someone coming from Bellwood, not exactly known to be like a basketball powerhouse, but then all of a sudden your brother, you start coming along. Allie Campbell is now at Notre Dame. She's balling out. What's it like seeing Bellwood like kind of get a little bit of recognition for its basketball?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely cool because like you said, Blair County, Central PA in general, that's, as you know, kind of a football hotbed. Then baseball comes, wrestling's pretty high up there. But basketball has, I feel like over the past decade or so, started to grow more and more. So to have, my hometown, my school start to get recognized a little bit more for having a good tradition and good programs, both on the boys and girls side, I think that's really cool because it starts to kind of seep down into younger generations. They start taking the game seriously, getting motivated. They see, people have success and they believe they can do the same thing. So yeah, I think that's how it like starts at a grassroots level and moves up then.
That's cool to hear. And I know that whenever BG always had to play you guys, we were always preparing for you and your brother, and that was always a fun time playing against you guys. But
yeah, definitely tough games. Always tough games up in Pleasant Valley Gym, or whether you guys came down to us. Always tough games.
So I have to ask, you played Division II basketball. When along the line did you start to think, hey, I can actually play some professional basketball? Maybe not in the US to start, but maybe somewhere overseas.
So I think subconsciously it's always been a dream and a goal of mine ever since I was little. And so that's always just kind of been my mindset, is to keep working as hard as I can to put myself in the position to, when the time comes, take the jump to the next level. So like when I was playing in high school, I'm like, I just want to keep getting as good as I can to hopefully, get to a place where I can play at a high level in college and compete for 4 years. And then if I do that and just keep working to get better every day, my play should be able to take care of itself and give me another opportunity. But yeah, as far as I went through college for a few years, and I saw that a lot of guys in the PSAC, since it's such a big Division II conference and well respected among sports, I saw guys start to get opportunities playing overseas, and a couple guys who like my brother played with there, so who I had known from going to his games, actually signed deals. So when I saw people coming from the same school I was at getting opportunities, I realized, that it's on the map a little bit, and if I can do what I do, then an opportunity would hopefully arise.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So, why did you choose Germany? I'm assuming you probably had offers all over the place with your skill level of basketball. So, have you ever been to Germany before, or was it a conscious decision for a career path, or did you just love the country and the team and the coach, and it all settled well over there?
So first of all, no, I've never been here before. This is my first time to Germany. And as far as other offers, I had a few more. Another one was from another club here in Germany, and the other one was a club in Ireland. So the two countries were just Ireland and Germany, actually, for over the summer. And it really came down to me doing individual research, reaching out to people who have played here before, and talking a lot with my agent that the reputation for pro basketball in Germany is really starting to grow. It's grown a lot over the past decade or so. And so it would be a really good place to hopefully start my career, since it's well respected. And if I can do some good things in my first year, that can set me up for later down the line. And as well, they also have a good reputation for being professional in terms of relationships, clubs to players, making sure you get your money on time, everything like that. So
Yeah, which is essential because you don't want to be playing for free, that's for sure.
exactly. I mean, I love the game so much that I might do that anyway, but when you sign a contract, you definitely hope that both parties hold up their end of the bargain.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then kind of on that note, like culturally, Germans are pretty strict about things, making sure you get your money on time, making sure, everything's kind of done the correct way. Like culturally for you, what were some of the big changes that you had to get used to when you moved over there?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I
a
know
good-
it's different too, right? Because of COVID going on and everything. So you're not getting the same experience everyone does.
Yeah. Um, so like the people over here, just generally speaking, very nice, especially in the city that I've been in. And so I feel like no matter where you go in the world, at the end of the day, people are people, you know, sharing experiences and emotions in that way. But the German people in general are very straightforward and matter of fact as far as how they handle conversations and handle business. So, and that's not, you know, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just mannerisms. And so that took a little bit of getting used to. Like we would be talking about something, I don't know, just whatever. And if somebody, you know, has an opinion or they want to say something about it, it's just going to be straight to the point, like no bones about it. And if you're not ready for that, it might come off as kind of like, you know, kind of icy or uncalled for or whatever. But it's literally, they're just don't spend any time working around trying not to offend you. They're just going to tell you how they feel. So I respect that, and I'm starting to pick up on it.
Well, along with that, how has it been getting used to like the German way of playing basketball? I'm sure they do things a little bit different than what you've seen in high school or in college. What's that like interaction been with the German players and then your coach?
Yeah, so the players, my teammates have been great so far. I've built good relationships with all of them in these first 4 months or so. They all speak really good English, which is nice, and the coaching staff as well. So the language barrier really hasn't been a problem or anything like that. And then as far as the style of play, I don't know if it's just Germany or more of a European style in general. I'd say it's more of like a type of free flowing style of play. The ball screen is implemented like a ton. Pretty much every offense it has at least one or two pick and rolls that are implemented into it, and so that was a big adjustment for me. I didn't spend a lot of time in college or high school working with those, so I spent a lot of time these first few months developing different looks, different reads on how to attack that. A 24-second shot clock is different now. Having played with 30 seconds for the last 4 years, so yeah, the pace of the game is pretty quick now.
Yeah, Nathan, I was interesting to find out. So probably obviously lots of people like us, we just get up, go to work, and every day is similar. How is it for a professional athlete? How is it? What's your day-to-day routine?
Yeah, well, like I kind of mentioned earlier, my routine can be compared to pretty much anyone else's as far as like it's kind of laid out and I know what I'm about to do every single day. And so when you get in that routine, the days just kind of roll over and over and over again. But a typical day, as far as it's a little different now because we haven't had any team activities, like I said, for the last 2 months or so, besides, you know, getting together on Zoom to have workouts once or twice a week. But, you know, a day for me would be to get up, fix myself breakfast. But it's nice I can kind of go at my own pace because there's no obligation with the team at this point. But then at least 5 days a week or so, I like to be in the gym at a certain point a day, to be on the court for about an hour or so, working on ball handling or shooting. And another hour, 30 minutes to an hour is dedicated to conditioning or weightlifting. So yeah, it's kind of broken up into those types of days, and then I just have to try to spend as much time listening to my own body to judge, do I ramp it up to a higher level the next day? Do I kind of take my foot off the gas, or do I keep going at this pace? Because I'm just the type of guy that loves spending so much time in the gym, so I can be my own worst enemy at certain points when I do a little bit too much and then get overuse injuries as a cause of that. And I actually had one back in September that caused me to miss my first game, pulled the quad muscle. So just, trying to doctor that as best I can and listen to my own body for sure.
Nice.
And I'm sure with experience, that's gonna, that's gonna become an easier task to manage. Are you able to work with staff or trainers or physios or medical staff or anything, or are you kind of like stuck on your own for the most part?
Yeah, so it's been nice over the last 6 weeks or so since I've had access to the gym. I can get in workouts with my head coach. He's nice enough to meet me for individual workouts like 3 days a week, and the other 2 days or so I'd just be on my own, doing my own thing in there. So yeah, I get to meet with him, and also our team trainer is affiliated with a hospital here in the city, so I get to go to him, when I need it. Or I've been going about once a week since our league stopped, just where I can get different physio treatments, and he can work out with my quad a little bit. So yeah, it has been nice to have those things available.
Yeah, so I was just quickly wondering, as you said, you've been alone, you haven't been able to mesh with your team or do any team training. I've spoken to a few athletes and heard a few things from other specific athletes, and specifically basketball, and players have noticed the fact that because of the time they've been able to spend by themselves consistently training and handling a ball, that they've been able to try and fix kind of mistakes or things they think they can improve in your game. Do you think you've been able to really work on your dribbles off the shot and your 2-point threes and all of the skills required for the game?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it's tough right now. I won't lie. Like I'd rather be playing right now.
Yeah.
I wish our season was going on as normal, but like you said, I think you can look to try to take the positives out of any situation and turn it to your favor. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these last 2 months I've had, and it looks like, as far as the plan for the resumption of the season, is going to be at the beginning of March. So looks like I have another 2 months ahead of me. So I've got this 4-month gap that in my entire career, I've never had this much time in season to just work on myself. So yeah, definitely like the few things that I saw in the first 4 or 5 games that I could do better to adjust to. Just spend time sharpening my other skills, like my shot, like you mentioned, and my dribbling abilities, and work to get quicker, everything like that. It's this could be a type of blessing in disguise, to where hopefully I can make another jump to finish this season strong and just keep improving.
Let's hope so. I'm definitely going to put some money on you for a triple-double first game then.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking is everyone else is doing it too, so the level of competition might just jump a little bit.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's hard to say. I can't speak for everybody in our league right now, but from what I've heard, a lot of the other Americans on these clubs have actually flown home already. And so it's something that I considered. I talked with my family, with the club, with my agent, what's the best thing to do in this situation. And we decided that since I still have access to a gym and to these things where I can keep getting better here, we decided it would actually be better if I stayed, just to limit the risks of, as far as, me traveling, putting myself at higher risk to contract a virus, and then, possibly putting myself in a bad situation where if I'm at home in January, February, the season begins, and I'm having a hard time getting back into the country, that could create issues. And so, yeah, I really don't want to have that problem. So I decided to stay here. So we'll see if there's even any other Americans left by the time the season starts.
Yeah, and on that note, do you think you said that you feel like you're definitely improving over the time? Do you think that kind of pressure was relieved from you, that you have to go home and do other tasks and think about the rest of your career? Do you think it's helped you a lot, especially mentally, the fact that your focus is all basketball while you're in Germany? There's no distractions, and everything you do is geared to make you a better basketball player.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the first time in my life where I can say that this is my only focus for the last my whole life. I mean, through elementary, middle, high school, and in college, it was school and sports. So this is the first time now that I don't have to juggle my academics as well. So yeah, I think this time, my first time living in a foreign country on my own, this is a really good time for me to not only work on basketball skills, but just, learning how to be a functioning adult on my own. Like I'm learning to cook and clean on my own and everything like that. So I think it's good life experiences, and definitely this break in between the season, which I'm not glad it's happening. It's giving me time to, focus on bettering myself mentally and physically. So for sure.
Yeah, fantastic attitude.
Last thing for me, well, first of all, it's good you didn't come back, because our area is doing very bad right now, and it's better you stayed in Germany. So
yeah, I saw I was talking to my dad. He said a couple of weeks ago, as far as like the percentage of the population and COVID contractions, Cambria County was like #1 in the entire nation, and then Blair was like not too far behind it, like #9 or something. So it's pretty crazy to think about.
yeah, because people don't think it's real. So, but back to basketball here, and this is gonna be my last thing. So you were close to a 20-point scorer your last 2 seasons in college. What have you seen being able to translate from college to the pro level? And maybe what are some of the weaknesses that you found out from the early parts of the season that are going to be things that you're going to have to address?
Yeah, so I think the game of basketball at its, when you break it down to its most rudimentary stage, it's always been about putting the ball in the basket and scoring more points than the other team. So I think, especially, I think you could attest some of it to the arrival of Stephen Curry over the past decade or so. There's been such a emphasis put on shooting the basketball, especially a 3-point shot, and how important that is for teams. So that was something that I was able to utilize through my 4 years of playing college ball, was shooting the deep ball. So even though the line is a little farther back here than in college, that hasn't been a problem for me. So I can still utilize that part of my game for sure. And something that I kind of alluded to it earlier, but something I can improve on throughout the rest of this year is my decision making with the pick and rolls. I played point guard pretty exclusively through high school, and then these last 4 years in college, I had some of those responsibilities, but I played a lot off the ball as well, like at a wing position. And now this year, this club was in need of a point guard, so I'm kind of back to taking on that traditional point guard role. So as far as navigating ball screens, keeping good court vision, just deciding what the best decision is to make, when to take it myself, my spacing for my teammates on the court, and how to get them the best looks that they can get. I want to continue to keep on getting better at that during this time.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. This was awesome getting to learn everything about you and, basketball life overseas. So thanks for taking some time out of your day. I know it's late over there, so get some rest.
For sure. Thank you guys a lot for
Yeah.
having me on. It was nice meeting you all.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan.
All right. Take care, guys.
See ya. Fantastic, man. Seems like his head looks focused and ready for the season, which is excellent to see.
Great attitude. And his club, Recklinghausen, is what it's called. They play in the regional league of Germany, so one of the upper leagues. And I think they're sitting at 3-2 right now on the season. I mean, obviously a wrench just got thrown right in the middle of it, and who knows, who's still on half the teams that are in the league. But they're in a decent spot for when they get back, and he's listed as their starting point guard, so he's an important piece. So it's cool to have people like that to be able to just hop in. People that grew up 10 minutes away from us that are playing professional ball now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's scary though. The one thing I will say that seems to be a common theme across Europe, across the US, is these international players are traveling, going back home. It could be damaging for the next years for lots of these clubs across the US and across Europe, especially in basketball. I know lots of Americans who have traveled to Europe and have made the decision to go home. Nathan is obviously not one of those people, but it's going to be a real shame if the level of, at least the standard of play drops just purely based on that factor.
Yeah, and I'm getting word from my producer. He's yelling at us. He says he wants to talk about the NBA now. So I guess we'll switch over to that.
Well, I think we can talk a little bit about not being able to come overseas quickly enough with the Jeremy Lin situation with the Golden State Warriors. He wasn't able to sign with them because he wasn't able to arrive quickly enough from China. So, but that's some small change whenever we're talking about the NBA here. We had our first two games of the season last night. The Nets demolished the Warriors, and the Clippers beat the Lakers on their ring ceremony night. So what did you guys take away from either of those games?
For me, both of them felt still like preseason games. I mean, they count. They're official games, but I think a lot of teams early on are just going to be figuring themselves out this beginning of the season, because there wasn't really a preseason. There were like 3 games, and it was nice to see the rookie Wiseman. I thought he had a pretty strong showing despite being completely blown out. I figured the Warriors would struggle, and I also figured the Lakers would struggle because I don't know, they seem to be pretty focused on load management this season. It just feels like that. And you saw that with LeBron not playing the last 8 minutes because he had a little tweak in his ankle and ended up costing him the game. But they all pretty much said in the post-game press conference, yeah, we don't like losing, but it's game 1. There's more games to come.
Yeah, and talking about the Lakers-Clippers game, I'm going to use a taboo here, and Ben, please cover your ears. It's good to see Paul George back. It looks like he's in good form. Looks like he spent, I think him having such a terrible season, and Ben and I, we had the conversation. If you haven't heard it, you need to look at our video page and look what Ben said about Paul George. It wasn't pretty, but I think that horrible season for Paul George that he had last year, or at least a horrible bubble, it could have been in his favor, because look, if you're pushed aside and everyone's disregarded you and no one really, and everyone is on your back and you're down and basically everyone's counted you out, you kind of have this open freedom to express yourself and just be you, because no one's on your side. And it seems like he embraced it. He said, you know what, put the middle finger up to all that doubted him and showed that he was one of the best players in the league. Whether that's going to continue, obviously we'll have to wait and see. But honestly, I'm a Lakers fan and I'm biased towards the Lakers. But you want to see the best players playing at their best, and that's just going to be exciting if he can continue that form throughout the entire season.
I mean, Listen, what I said about Paul George, I'm gonna continue to stick by, because until I see him produce in those biggest stages, he's still going to be what I called him. And yeah, he
Which
had
was what?
he was a pussy.
Okay. Thanks.
Game one, I can tell you right now, the Lakers were not ready for the game, and with them only having 71 days off from when they won the championship to their first game, that mental fatigue probably is going to come back and bite them a lot harder than any other team in the NBA. And now when we have to consider LeBron James being 35, almost 36 years old now, the Lakers are going to be the favorites throughout the whole season. It doesn't matter whether they're a 500 team. When it comes playoff time, they're still going to be the favorites. And I think I like the build of the Clippers a little bit better this year. I like Serge Ibaka. They actually provide a shot blocking center now. But yeah, Paul George had a good game, and he does that in the regular season quite often. And a couple of years ago, whenever he was in OKC, he was a front runner for the MVP. But yeah, until I see something, Paul George is still going to be a pussy in my book.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I guess that's fair. The Lakers are built for a playoff run. We've seen it. Like, we have literal proof of it from last year, and honestly, I think they had an improvement in the offseason, picking up some of the pieces that they've picked up. The other game, though, the Nets look pretty decent. KD looks fine. Honestly, I wasn't sure how he would look coming back from a pretty serious injury, but he looks fine. I don't know. It's a little scary.
That was frightening, seeing KD. It looked like he didn't get injured at all.
Right.
It didn't look like he got injured at all. And the Nets are probably going to be pretty careful with him this year and making sure that he doesn't play huge minutes, but still playing enough. I think the one thing that you're seeing on a lot of these teams is they're playing a lot of players right now. And I think that theme's going to move on throughout the season to try and alleviate that short off season, especially for a lot of these playoff teams. You're going to see if these teams are deep and are able to go down the line and, call on their 10th, 11th, 12th players, those are the teams that are going to be healthy at the end of the season. And the Nets played a ton of guys last night.
Yeah, I mean, well, they had their fifth and sixth stringers in by the end of the game. I don't know if KD even touched the floor in the fourth quarter. I didn't notice him out there. I was watching the whole game, and I don't know if Kyrie did either. But I think both teams just sent out their backup squads for the fourth quarter, which honestly, that's going to be normal. I think if it's a blowout, I don't think teams are going to care that much to try and come back, especially early on. I mean, you're looking at guys who hardly even had an off season at all, and even if you're losing, I know they have that competitive fight in them where they don't want to get blown out, but at the same time, they're just like, we got to just pick and choose our battles. And early on, I think a lot of them are just going to want to rest.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tully.
That's always my one pet peeve with the NBA is that one of the things you don't see in other sports is that they just take out all of their best players in the final quarter and just let John from down the park come in and play. Obviously, these are professional basketball players, so obviously they're incredible players. But I mean, you want to see KD on the floor at all times, and obviously it's a smarter thing to do. But it's just especially as a football fan, I mean, if Chelsea pulled off every single one of their best players, if they're like, you know what, Pulisic, you've played excellent, so we're just going to yank you off. we're going to yank everyone else off. Thiago Silva, you keep scoring headers from corners, we'll yank you off as well. If that happened, I'd be so frustrated. But that is the NBA, and that's the season we're going to have. And I think it's going to be a very common theme throughout this entire season, up until the playoffs, where LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Giannis, all these players are going to get yanked because they need to stay fresh the whole year.
And but I wanted to touch a little bit on the second half of the Nets Warriors game with the Warriors. And while they did play what looks like one of the best teams in the NBA last night, you do have to worry about their ability to actually make the playoffs this year. That terrible shooting nights from Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre, both new acquisitions, but you're relying on them without Klay Thompson now. And if those two aren't able to continue to produce at a 20-point clip per night, the Warriors are not going to make the playoffs. And if they do, I think their peak is the 7th seed.
Yeah, they're going to struggle.
It's tough. It's a tough look for them because Steph is. I saw an interesting take about Steph Curry, which kind of made sense. Where some players are floor raisers. You got LeBron James, who you put him on a team, they're going to make the playoffs, right? And they're going to be probably a contender. And then you've got other players who, on their own, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But when they're on a team that's good, they're going to be the one that could take them up over the hump and then help them win the championship. And Steph Curry seems to be one of those players. He maybe won't carry a team by himself to the playoffs, but if he's on a team that's good, he can be that spark that puts him over the top. And I mean, he's obviously done it, winning multiple championships, but he's not a LeBron James type player. So I don't think it's fair to judge him in the same way you would LeBron. But does that mean he's not as much of a superstar? I don't know. Because he's still an incredible player.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to make. When people say top 5 players in the league and they whack Steph Curry right at the top 3, top 4, top 5 position, you're thinking, look, it showed last year, and I think it's going to show this year. I don't think a point guard can. I mean, you look at Damian Lillard, maybe he's the exception, but a point guard of that kind of physical stature cannot single-handedly bring a team to a championship by themselves. Because look at LeBron James. Anyone could give him the ball, he'll make a play, he'll score, he'll get an easy bucket for someone else. But then he's right back on the defensive end, and he can block shots and stop people. Where, I mean, Steph Curry, he's not a notorious defender by any means. So he can cash threes from the logo, but then when someone pulls up with a jumper with a couple seconds left right in his face, I mean, I don't think it's comparable. And they're going to struggle this year. I think Klay Thompson out, that took a massive piece. But how weak they looked in that game, I would have even questioned whether even Klay Thompson would have made a difference, which is a massively bold statement, and it's going to raise a few eyebrows. But it wasn't clicking. Maybe they just need time. But honestly, it looks like it's going to be a shaky season for the Warriors. I know it's been game 1, and there's quite a pessimistic outlook, but that's what we're here for.
And Steph, I think the most telling statistic about that game was he went 2 for 10 from 3-point land, and that's always been the knock on him. Now, I will give him some credit. He had 10 assists last night, so he has taken on more of that initiator in the offense than what he has in the past. I think you've seen a lot of other people bring up the ball, like KD or Iggy or Draymond. And with Draymond not playing last night either, it was really on Steph to get that done. But yeah, I mean, 20 points, 10 assists, that's good. But when you don't have your running mate in there to carry the team, it's not enough. And yeah, like you said, Tully, he's not a stopper on defense. And I like their young pieces, and I don't mind this team, but I hate their bench. I think if Draymond and Clay were in there, I would have a lot more confidence in them, because they would have either Andrew Wiggins or Kelly Oubre on the bench, or you would have and then you would have that Eric Pascal on the bench as well that could help carry the bench. But now your best bench player is Brad Wanamaker.
Yeah, solid
solid
minimum contract.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you get injuries, though. And
can't help those.
And the Klay Thompson injury, he was expected to come back, and it was just unfortunate. I think the Warriors probably do make the playoffs this year. I think they'll click a little bit better. I believe Wiggins will probably start coming off the bench once Draymond Green's back in. Wiggins has never been that guy that's gonna really take over a game. I mean, he's shown flashes, right? He's had some incredible games, but consistently, he was never that guy. And if he can take on a 6-man role, maybe he'd be successful and help out the Warriors. But right now, as it stands, they're just going to struggle. And and then on the other side, that Nets team they look deep, they look strong. Kyrie and KD seem to trust each other. I mean, it's game 1, so Kyrie might revert back to his old form of trying to play hero ball a little too much. But honestly, I know people knocked Kyrie for what he said, which was one of the most ridiculous things an NBA player's ever said, when he said he didn't have any shot makers with him. But it is true that he hasn't played. He hasn't played with someone that is a shot maker like Durant. Durant's on a different level, maybe all time, in terms of that kind of a shot maker. Yeah, okay. But, his statement about never playing with anyone after spending years with LeBron James is like, that's a little suspect. But yeah, Durant is, I think you take almost anyone in history, you put Durant up against them in terms of pure shot making and creating a good opportunity to score. Durant's probably number 1, number 2. I mean, he's insane as a scorer.
Who would you put on him to defend him? Anyone over the course of history that would even be able to cause any kind of problem. I mean, some people
Scottie
will say
Pippen, maybe. Klay Thompson, maybe, because they're similar type of defenders.
Yeah, but then you think KD's still probably got like 4 or 5 inches on them. Plus, he's lanky. So, I mean, I don't think Michael Jordan would struggle guarding him. And
you just set the boomers off. Off. They're throwing their.
We're going in big with the controversy today.
Yeah, everyone 60 and over had just turned off the podcast.
Yeah, they just said yank.
Well,
Wilt Chamberlain.
If we have any 60 or overs, I'll be actually pretty impressed by that. But yeah, I just think KD is the best pure scorer the NBA has ever seen. He can do every shot.
He has every type of shot in his arsenal. And on top of that, he's like 7'2", even though he's listed shorter than that. I mean, the dude is he's a freak of nature. And I don't know. It gives just a little bit of credibility to what Kyrie said. He just could have said it in a little bit better of a way.
He could have said, I played with LeBron, but then no one else. Because if you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers throughout Kyrie's entire time in that city, who did he give the ball to who scored every single point? who dominated throughout the years at that team, LeBron James. So he has no claim at all. I mean, it's just an absurd. I think everyone was like, yeah, if you added LeBron, I could have accepted the statement. Maybe Kevin Love, well, he was a big deal, but he maybe you could give him that. But when you leave out LeBron, just to trigger some boomers again, LeBron, the best player probably to ever touch a basketball, then, I mean, you're going to look like a fool.
Yeah, he could have easily just said, I'm thankful I get to play with the best scorer of all time.
Yeah.
And that would have been a perfectly fair statement. I don't think LeBron would have been offended. I don't think anyone would have gotten mad because KD has proven, multiple times he can be a 30-plus point scorer. And James Harden goes to strip clubs all the time. It's what Ben has to talk about now. Ben's trying to get an invite to go with him, I believe.
That's some big breaking news out of the NBA. I had seen it earlier this afternoon that the Rockets were working with the NBA front office to do an investigation on James Harden and breaking some COVID protocols after him posting that he was at a strip club last night. And I think James Harden is trying his best to get the hell out of Houston.
James Harden is 1 week away from walking into the Rockets building and holding the GM with a gun and enforcing the trade. I mean, what else can he do to force this trade? He's going to strip club. I mean, he's probably going to go to Disneyland naked. I mean, I wouldn't even surprise me at this point if he ends up in Europe, in London. I mean, tier 4, the new mutation of COVID. It's just a James Harden playground over here. I don't know what more he can do to force his trade.
He just has no value, and I feel like the Rockets. I mean, he has a ton of value, but no team can afford to trade for him. So you're looking at a guy that's like forcing his way out of his team when there's no market whatsoever for him. I mean, the Nuggets seemed like maybe they could give up some pieces, but their coach basically flat out said, "No thanks, I'm good." And I mean, the Sixers, that was kind of a thing, but that even fizzled out. I just don't know. I don't know what Harden wants. I don't know what the Rockets want. Just feels like he might not even play this season. He'll just sit out and just not do anything because it just doesn't what does he want?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I don't know.
Strippers, man. That's what he wants.
I mean, look, we haven't heard a peep out of him throughout his entire NBA career of him being an arsehole and doing these crazy, outlandish things. And now he wants this trade. I think he's gone on to his settings and put morality down to 0, and he's just doing anything. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if in a week's time NBA pops up and says James Harden busted with a drug mule. I mean, I don't know what more he can do. He's crazy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Russell Westbrook's water that he's taken, because Russell Westbrook seems like he's been quiet and looks like he's getting on at the Wizards. Now I'm starting to think whether James Harden's like the Joker and was manipulating Russell Westbrook.
Well, I mean, I think every time someone has left Houston, they've kind of made mention about not loving playing with James Harden. So yeah, I mean, maybe, but I just feel like that's because he's been enabled to kind of get his way, right? Like sometimes with stars, if they're on a team where where the coach just kind of lets them do whatever they want, I think maybe that's a little dangerous, gets to their head a little bit. But we definitely lost Ben here. I'm trying not to look at his little square there, but he's definitely not moving.
I think he's sad. He loves James Harden and Paul George, and honestly, to see them both struggling over the past few months, I think it's just really upset him. So
yeah,
his
favorite players.
Yeah, we'll take a moment pause for Ben.
It's it's a struggle for me because James Harden is on my fantasy team.
I mean, you're just getting pummeled. James Harden in your fantasy, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going down the toilet.
Yeah, we've got a couple minutes. I guess we can talk NFL.
Yeah.
We'll cover that real quick. The Steelers are done. They're dead. They're over. Big Ben sucks.
Oh,
I mean, this is what
Pittsburgh
happens.
toilets.
This is what happens when you play with six stringers. You know, their whole team got injured. Big Ben, I think, is injured, but still playing. I mean, it's pretty obvious he's not right. I mean, I don't even know if they have a running back at this point. Tully's over here drinking red wine or something.
It's whiskey. I'm just trying to keep on pace with the conversation. I'm just thinking about Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going to dance on all those logos and then get absolutely pummeled.
Yeah, he did tweet. He tweeted today. He said that's it. That's the last time. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's like, okay, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, because he got
Poor
rocked
guy.
the other day.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising. I mean, if someone danced on my football pitch, I remember back in university when I was playing. I mean, bloody hell, that seems like years ago now. The pitch probably doesn't exist now. It's probably a cemetery. But I remember the team went to our semicircle and did like a dance and stuff. And the first tackle, bang, yellow card, straight off the whistle. I mean, you're going to dance on someone's logo, you're going to get absolutely hammered. And it seems like everyone is now gunning for the Steelers.
Yeah. Well, I think they got off to such a hot start. Everyone was gunning for them anyways.
Yeah,
But they've somehow managed to take some of the attention away from the Chiefs, who are undoubtedly going to win the Super Bowl unless they have some like ridiculous COVID problems or injuries. I mean, they're just absurd.
Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine Super Bowl Sunday and bang, Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, COVID positive. Yeah, we have to continue, and you have to play the game.
Yeah.
I mean, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but
I think they would move it at that point.
Yeah, they'd have to. I mean, the money is.
There's no way that they would let that happen. That's the more and more I look every week, the more I'm just going to say there's no one in the NFL who's even going to come close to touching the Chiefs. And it's going to be like that for a while now because all their players, somehow they figured out how to sign them to long-term deals.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got their entire team locked for like 8 years now, and I don't know how they can afford it, but whatever.
Well, I think they've gone on salary cap space, turned it off on Madden, and they're just loading the cash.
And they haven't told anyone else that's what happened. Derrick Henry looks like he might hit 2,000 yards. In other exciting news, I don't know who's coming out of the NFC, honestly. Buccaneers is, I guess, my choice right now. Maybe the Rams, but
Rams look bad. They lost to the Jets.
They lost to the Jets.
Both of those teams. That's where I was going next. Is the Rams have had horrible showings, and so have the Buccaneers. I mean, the Buccaneers lost a couple games by 40, right? Like, you don't see teams make the Super Bowl super often, losing a game by 40 in the season. But this isn't a normal season, so I guess we just accept it at this point.
I think Jets to the playoffs. Jets to the Super Bowl.
Isn't that funny? They get a win and now they're gonna lose Lawrence. They're losing Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, it's a shame the Jaguars aren't gonna stick it out with Minshew. Not surprised at all though. I mean, come on. The guy was. I knew the guy would have one or two fun games, but it wasn't gonna last.
I think this was a good day of basketball information, guys. A little bit of NFL there to end it all off, but yeah, a great day of talking with Nathan, and talking about some wonderful stuff with the NBA and strip clubs and
Yeah, we just really went for a roast. I mean, this is the roast podcast. We've just gone
I
in
mean,
on
it's Christmas. It's Christmas Eve when this thing's going up, you know. And we know what everybody listening wants,
yeah,
for Christmas, and that's strippers. So
yeah,
we hope Santa brings, you know, everything you wanted.
we bring a lot of
Daisy
ho
and
ho hos.
yeah.
exactly Daisy and Candy. You know, they'll be on a candy cane to see you soon.
Yeah, candy
Oh.
cane for the strippers.
That was all right. That was our best outro for sure. But yeah, I'll hopefully be wearing my All Sports BP t-shirt next week. Ben